Hello, everybody. This is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to the show. And thank you for everybody. I just realized it's the first day of summer. Wow. We were just kind of talking a little bit beforehand, but we just didn't really. It literally just hit me that this is like, yeah, first day of summertime. So, yeah, we're about to start enduring those dreadful heat waves. Yeah.
It's so true.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But regardless, thank you so much for tuning in. And today we're going to be chatting with somebody who they have a YouTube channel and they also do like kind of vlogs, kind of something similar to what I'm doing, where they also discuss about acting and, dropping some what we consider to be the truth bombs and so many other different topics that they have on their channel. So I guess I'm just going to let this special person introduce themselves and just, yeah, say hi to the audience out there.
Thanks, Robert. I'm really excited and happy to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Anastasia. I'm a Toronto actor, Toronto YouTuber. Been doing it for a couple of years. Definitely, it's a different market out here in Canada and specifically in Toronto than it is in LA. But it's been quite the journey. I won't lie. It's been up and down and kind of all over the place, but I don't know, it's been really fun and exciting, and I'm happy to kind of see where it takes me and see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way because I'm somebody who is still kind of a baby when it comes to acting. So I've been doing this for about 7 years coming up in September. So I'm just still learning a lot about, so what is it that you do to get your name out there, marketing and doing a lot of the business aspects. Specifically if you're working as a voiceover artist as well, that's also something that it's sort of like a journey. It's a process. It's not like we're
Mhm.
gonna get it done like overnight, like we have all the answers, because everything is just changing
It's
constantly
true.
every
It's
single
very
day.
true. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It is very true. I think for me, what really hit me was during COVID, I realized that the generation of the Meryl Streeps and the Leonardo DiCaprios and, the Tom Hanks, that generation of actors and how they made it into the career, I don't think would ever happen. I think those were one of those like one in a million chances. And to kind of get to that level. I mean, it's different. Like, I don't know about it in LA, but in Toronto, there's like 98% of nothing's in person anymore. It's all self tapes, it's all online. It's much harder to book than it was before. So there's definitely not that personal connection that you can have with casting. But yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely not a journey like just in one night this can become. It's something that you work towards for a long time, a couple of years in order to get to a space that you want to be at.
Yeah, it really does take a long time. Yeah, it really does.
Mm.
Yeah, so I know we got a couple of questions that we can go over when it comes to discussing about getting your name out there, or what is something that has helped you along the way, but we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But for now, I just kind of wanted to know about, your humble little beginnings of, getting your start as an actress. Would you say that it was a much different environment or it was a much different landscape, when you first got your start, especially when we're looking into 2024 and everything's just like it's so drastically different than it was like even a decade ago. So, how would you describe your little beginnings? Journeys?
So for me, when I was in high school, I actually had a really big dream of working either as a lawyer, like a criminal lawyer, or being in criminology. And I took every high school course you could possibly think of, like law studies and this and that. And I was really into it. And I also was big in the acting world and dance and drama and everything. So I was doing a lot of that in theater. And when I was graduating high school, I was debating like, do I go into like criminal law programs or criminology, or do I do the theater acting? And I don't know, something inside my heart just really wanted to do the acting. Like I couldn't explain it. I was really drawn to it. So I went to a theater school here in Toronto. It's the university was called Ryerson University, but they recently, I think about a few years ago, changed it to Toronto Metropolitan University. And it was a 4-year undergrad acting program, as a conservatory program. So that's kind of where everything started for me there. I won't lie, it was a very intense program. It was not easy, and there was a lot that went on in that program. It was very intense. And when I graduated theater school, I kind of felt a little bit lost, like, where do I want to go with this? What do I want to do? And I slowly started doing theater. And then I got myself an agent. I was doing non-union, like, commercials and auditions and whatnot. And then during COVID, that's kind of where everything stopped. And I had almost like a 180. I ended up parting ways with my agent. And that kind of gave me a big like wake up call of like, what do I want to do here? And I actually got into background work. And the background work is where I really grew and I learned a lot and I got to meet interesting people. And that's kind of where my channel came out for YouTube, because I realized that when I was graduating theater school, I wish that there was a Toronto YouTuber that would tell you kind of the guide of like ins and outs and how to do this and how to do that, how it works in Toronto, like what are good acting classes, headshot photographers. And I kind of felt like I wanted to relay the information that I was learning from my own path to the Toronto community. And so I kind of started building and growing. And as my channel was growing, I was also growing as an actor, getting a new agent and this and that, becoming union. And it kind of has been going from there. So, yeah.
It's really cool. So I know that you're based in Toronto, so I'm just wanted to quickly jump into the whole acting, the community that is, based up in just sort of based like because I'm in LA, so I know that Toronto is kind of like way on the northeast from where
Yeah.
I'm at right now. So yeah, how would you consider to be Toronto to be like? Is it really much different than LA, or is it kind of like about from your perspective, how would you say that it's?
I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I do definitely think. I mean, I've never acted in LA, but from my
Yeah.
friends who have connections in LA and my mentor, my coach, Jeff Clark, he's been an actor in LA, Vancouver, and Toronto. And there is definitely a difference between all three. I think a lot of it comes down to how they do their casting, how they want to run sort of the ship. I know, for example, here, if they're shooting a teen show, they actually will try to hire in Canada actual teenagers to play teenagers. While in the States, if it's an American production, they most of the time will go for like 25-year-olds who look like teenagers and they will play the teens. So it's a little bit of a different market. Um, there are similarities for sure. I think also the unions are very different with SAG-AFTRA, the rules, and our union's called ACTRA. We have different rules that we play on about. But I don't know. I think both markets, it's not an easy industry. And I think people always say, I get a lot of interesting comments on my channel, and a lot of people are like, well, you can't get anywhere in Toronto. And then I have people who are like, you can't get anywhere in LA. I'm like, look, I think if you're destined to be doing this, and if you really want to do it and you put your entire heart, soul, body into it, I think you can make a career out of it. The one thing that I think in Toronto or in the Canadian market, I have to say is that you're never going to be just an actor. You're always going to be an actor and dot, 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 something else. And it's up to you to find what that something else is. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the industry has drastically changed, like just even like you said, 10 years ago.
That is definitely true because we could just talk about the many different changes of how so much has been going on. Like, I mean, we literally are just getting out of a little strike from last year, so it kind of definitely put so much on hold, and now there's so much progress that was being made. So I was just like, yeah, that kind of definitely held things up. But I know I mean, I never know what's gonna happen, but for everything that's could just kind of been, we had the big thing last year, so we're kind of getting to a place where it's like, okay, there's some progress that is being made, but we still got a long way to go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, 1,000%. I think we have a long journey ahead of us. That is hands down. And I think whatever kind of decision happens in the States, I think Canada, specifically Toronto, does also get affected by it. When you guys had your strike, we were in solidarity with it. So we were highly affected by it as well. And I think a lot of us, majority of us, thought that when the strike was going to be over, that January was going to be like the big COVID boom. Like it was just filming after filming after filming in COVID. And that was not the case. In January, it was straight up crickets. And we waited. And then February was crickets. March, a little bit here and there. then dipped down back in April, and then now we're starting to like go up. But it's been a slow recovery from the strikes. So yeah, it's there's a lot of work still ahead of us, but we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. When you graduated in 2018, you did the Fringe Festival for a theater show called Moving On, and you did a couple of different stuff before we all got hit by the pandemic. So after you graduated from you know, from the performance acting program in Toronto, how would you say that that really also helped steer the direction of your path as you were still navigating your career and whatnot?
Well, when I graduated from Ryerson, I'm going to be honest,
Ryerson,
I
yeah.
wasn't really equipped in terms of like what to do, how to do, where to go, like all that kind of stuff. That's the one thing that a lot of people on my YouTube ask me, like, do you recommend going to theater school? I don't know if I should be saying this, but I don't think I recommend going to theater school. I don't regret it. But I personally now am at a point in my life where my side job is working at a restaurant, and I don't mind it, but it's definitely not something I'm in love doing all the time. And my theater degree, unfortunately, can't really get me any other job besides acting. And even then, I'm starting to realize that a lot of casting directors don't really care that much anymore of whether you're going to theater school or not. As long as you've done class, I think that's the main part. But when I graduated, I thought I wanted to be a diehard theater artist, like theater all the way, only theater. But Toronto theater is, I don't know, I find it a little bit all over the place. I definitely think a lot of the theater is not the same after COVID. I don't think our theater scene as big as it was before. And I realized when I was doing the show at the Fringe Festival, I was like, I'm interested in filming TV. So I really wanted to get my feet dipped into that world. And the only way I was able to do it was once COVID hit. And that's when the background world really got me a chance to see how it all works without having to have the pressure of knowing lines, being the lead, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Because I know after 2019, when you were doing the short films, then we all got hit by, the big thing, which we all know about.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I noticed that that was also the time where a lot of us artists, we were kind of starting to question, like, okay, where else to go from there? Is it kind of like the time to slow down and really do a bit of deep self-reflecting of what we are what are we gonna do? So I know that you're based in Toronto and there's not like a lot of actresses that are from the area that are doing like this YouTube content. So that's kind of where the main inspiration of just being like, you know what? I'm gonna try YouTube to see how that works out because there's so many that started YouTube after we got hit with COVID, and so many of them have been slowly. It's been a steady growth. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say that. Yeah, you just have no idea how content creators have just been exploding over these last couple of years. It is
100%.
insane to think about, man.
Yeah. I agree. My YouTube was something I at first I wanted to do just as a creative outlook because I was like again not auditioning, nothing was happening in COVID, and I was like, how do I keep myself not like I was so creatively dead, you know? And then that's kind of where it started to grow a little bit from there, and then it went on.
Right. Yeah, because I know that after 2020 with pretty much everything that's been happening, oh my gosh, so much has been. I don't even want to. I'm not gonna even go there.
Huge.
But yeah, so that was just kind of like the place where, with your YouTube channel, that was kind of where you wanted to spread your creativity and just spread your honesty to people. So when you first started YouTube, how would you say that, when you started YouTube, where were you in your life just when you started your channel and looking at where you're at right now?
Oh God. When I started my channel, I'm going to be honest, I was actually severely depressed, and I was going through really bad mental health, and my fiance, he was my
Mm,
boyfriend at the time. We were living together. And he was witnessing me in the state, and I just think I wanted to start the YouTube channel to just at first I honestly was curious of being like a lifestyle YouTuber. But the problem is if you're not famous, no one cares about your life. No one cares to know what your day to day is, you know? And I was struggling to be like, what do I do with this? Like, is this something I want to put the work into and whatnot? And then um when I started doing like a lot of my friends were the ones who pushed me, being like, I've been through a lot in this industry and I've seen a lot in this industry. And I think my friends were the ones who were like, you need to talk about your experiences because I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think a lot of people will feel that they're not alone in knowing that it's very difficult to make it as an actor. And I was growing my channel that way. And I'm not going to lie, some of my honesty has gotten me some interesting conversations through my comments through YouTube. I'll get some very like controversial things said back, but I think it's all down to opinion of what people think. Look, like if someone has three audition and makes it after three audition, that's great. It something clearly worked for you and it went on. But I'm here to just talk about I want to create a community of Toronto artists and just artists in general that there's a big jump between Hollywood and us. And we want to talk about what's here because it's not talked about enough. You know, it's always talked about here, like, oh, what was it like filming on like the Terminator, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they'll go on that. I'm like, that's great. These are Hollywood movies. But like, how many short films did you do before you got to Hollywood? How many tiny little, you know, low budget production indie films did you do before you got to up here? You know, like, why don't we not talk about the like gritty stuff? And now my channel is honestly my baby. I could never give it up. I love my channel. It brings me a lot of joy. It does bring me a lot of stress as well. I won't lie. It's a lot of work having a channel and doing it full time all the time, especially when it comes to I do my vlogs and a lot of people love the vlogs, like the Toronto day-to-day life of what an actor does and like just like a regular working actor, like not anyone who's like super famous or anything like that, just an ordinary person. And I'm really confident in the content that I put out. I'm confident that I'm being honest and truthful of what my life is like and what it's like for me to be an artist in the city and what I'm witnessing. And I'm putting it out there in a video for my subscribers. And like I said, there's a lot of people who enjoy this video, and there's some people who will feel different about it, and that's fine. You're not going to always love everything you're seeing. You're not going to love every life you see. But I just really hope that my channel brings joy and a sense of like you're not alone feeling to the people that watch it.
Yeah. Would you say that those are kind of like the biggest learning hurdles or experiences that you've had to over, not overcome, but that's just something that you have to learn along the way as you were slowly building a business and just slowly building, a following with your YouTube channel?
Well, one thing is I think I was naive in thinking that everyone's going to be nice to me when I was doing
Yeah.
my channel. I was thinking that, oh my God, everyone's going to love what I say. And like, there's going to be a bundle of joy and we're going to be happy. Not at all, Robert. I have had some like mean things said to me in comments, you know, and calling me this and that and saying that my work is this and I'm ungrateful or whatever. Like people will find a way. And I think the first time I ever got a mean comment, I was so, to be honest, shocked because I was like, oh my God, like, what? I'm like, how did you get that from my video? Like, where does your brain go from this to this? And I think to me, I think like you see these comments on TikToks for other videos, but you never actually imagine they would happen to you because I'm not putting out controversial videos. I'm not putting out content that would create a spark. Like, you know, it's not politics. It's not, you know, we're not talking about big things that could make two sides, you know, combust within each other. I'm talking about me and my experience as an actor in my little bachelor apartment in Toronto, you know, like I never thought in a million years that my life would sometimes create a lot of commotion for some people. But definitely think that is the one thing that taught me a lot is that I'm going to meet interesting people along the way. And some of them are going to be there to I think as a lesson, I think the universe puts me in tests to see like, what is it going to be like when someone says something like this to you? How are you going to react? Like, what are you going to do about it? And are you going to back out? You know, am I going to crawl into a hole and not put out a video next Friday? Or am I just going to continue what I do and say, you know what, you have your opinion. That's great. Well, keep on watching if you want to, you know? So that, and oh my gosh, I think the consistency, if you want to grow a channel, if you want to be really like legit about it, you have to consistently be putting out a video every week. And that can be a lot of work. There's been times where I'm like, I don't know what to talk about this week. Nothing's interesting has been in my life. So what do I make up? Like I was like, you know, and there's been times where I have to do filler videos where it'd be like a Q&A or something where I'm like, I don't know. Everybody asked me a question, you know, like things like that. But yeah, I think those are like my two biggest things. But it's a growing progress. So I'm excited to see where it could even be at the end of the year.
I'm near 300 podcast episodes for this thing right here, so it's just kind of like one of the main. What's really tricky is that you gotta keep the conversation engaging and
Yeah.
entertaining. So it's like, just having to juggle between like, okay, I think I've kind of got into the groove of like, all right, so if I'm booking this person, I have to do a little bit of research and then I have to ask specific questions. I'm like, oh, so when you did this, like, was it like kind of something that taught you, like, what was something that you really got out of it? You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta ask specific questions of what does it relate to and how can it be helpful for somebody who is might be spinning their wheels or is a little bit lost of what they wanted to do. So you got to do that type of stuff because we can have fun and we can just have a nice conversation, but like you said, it still is a lot of work. And having a YouTube channel, you're bound to get some interesting people. And that's all I'm gonna say. And you know what? Even if you're not doing a controversial video, that's the main. I'm so glad you touched on that because it's like, oh, I'm just doing my own thing and just even for a podcast, for instance, like, you can have some feedback that might not be the nicest, but you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes I can learn from that because not everybody is gonna like your content. And sometimes there can be like that one brutally honest comment that can kind of completely shift the gears and change your perspective of like, oh, okay, so maybe it's like, okay, you know what, this person, and you gotta be like, you gotta approach it of like, oh, this person is not being mean towards you. It's just that they just kind of don't really particularly like how you're doing it. And then sometimes you can kind of have this little voice in the back of your mind of being like, what did they know? I'm doing my own thing. If this person don't like it, then, but sometimes you kind of it kind of can take like that. It's kind of like that one friend who is always going to be honest about you. Like, listen, you should probably, I don't know, because something about this is like, or if you're discussing something like a very, very big topic that is being so much to so many people, like a really like sensitive topic, and you just got to really sit back and be like, oh, okay, so if I talk about this, it's not like, okay, so you know what you're talking about, but it's like, how is it going to affect somebody who is personally deeply hurt by whatever is going on? Like, with what's going on with, with the Palestine or any of these other countries that are currently going through war. If I were to do an episode on the whole situation, gotta be very careful because they're gonna
1,000%.
take it out of context, and sure
Yep.
enough, it's gonna be. And you also gotta not make yourself look bad for whoever is, because there are people that are gonna be watching you. You're gonna have eyes like clients or whoever's gonna be watching your show. So it's like, you can have fun, but you also gotta be like, yeah, you can't just bungle this up. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna talk about serious topics like what's been happening around us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think that's the one thing that you said that you have to, I like what you said there. You're like, look, like you have to understand that people are always going to say something and it's what they're hurt by. And that's one thing I learned, Robert, through these comments that there's been times where I'm like, look, clearly whatever I said in this video has triggered you, but I think it's triggering you because you have not healed this part of yourself of whatever it is that makes you kind of be like, no, I blah 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 blah. It has nothing at the end of the day to do with me. I think it more so comes from what this person is feeling by watching my video. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just sharing my experience, and my experience is not wrong. It's how I see the industry and what I've seen with my own two eyes. I'm not lying at what I'm saying. Like, it's not like I'm not an actor and I'm telling people how to be an actor. Like it's not one of those, right? So it's yeah, I like what you said that like it all comes down to what they've been hurt by for themselves. So yeah.
And also just mentioning like, and we kind of all started YouTube when we were not in a very good place because yeah, ah boy, it was rough for all of us. So I think it was because we found that one, how can I phrase this? It's when we are at our lowest point that we kind of discovered like, oh, okay, I can do this because not only is it helpful for somebody, but I feel like with this audience from a place of honesty, it's helping somebody really discover like what it is that they're struggling with or why they feel like they don't really have any place to really express themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like creativity, emotions, and just so much that has been happening, and are we're just kind of all we are all in this together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's a different world now, Robert, where there's a lot
Mhm.
of hiding behind a screen. And when you're behind a screen, you can be very brave. But I can bet you a lot of these people, if I ever met them on set, I think I'd have a very different experience with them. I think they
Yeah.
would be able to say what they say to me on behind the screen in person.
Yeah. And like I said, everything's totally different. It's a very different environment now than it was back in the days where, yeah, it's like these days, we all have a different mindset and we kind of don't really always approach everything with an open mind. So that can also be pretty tricky when you're talking to an audience, when you're building just growing a platform, and it can kind of be really daunting of just being like, oh yeah, I have so many people that are just now tuning in of what I have to say about the industry, or just yeah, so many different topics that you know we can kind of be really blunt on stuff, and not everybody is gonna take it the right way. I mean, you're not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, just bottom line.
100%, Robert. It's the same thing when people are acting. You're going to watch a movie and you could be like, Bradley Cooper in that movie, I did not like him. Well, you're not going to like every movie he does, or you're not going to like every actor you see, or whatever it is, right? It's one of those things. And like I said, I think I was naive and just like kind of like young and stupid, being like, everyone's going to love what I say. And I was like,
Mm,
whoa, did I ever get hit with reality? I'm like, not at all. So, but my fiance, when I get these comments, I have to take a moment to like read them, take it in, and be like, okay, I'm not going to let it like I shield myself. But he says this, and I think it's you have tough skin in this industry. And I'm not just talking about YouTube, like acting as well. Like you're gonna have agents and casting that are gonna say some gnarly things to you that you're gonna be like, wow, okay. You have to be able to sit there and not allow it to ruin you. Like this whole industry is based on what you look like, what your body is, what the color of your skin is, your eyes, your hair, your weight, like everything. We're booked by being judged who we are, right? So you're gonna need to understand that that's what's gonna happen on a daily basis every time you audition.
yeah. So one last question about your YouTube channel. What, because I know you've done like a ton of videos as of right now, 183. Yeah, I'm
Well,
yeah.
183, I didn't even know what I was like, I wonder what my number is actually right now.
Yeah, it's like just one quick YouTube channel search. But anyways, out of those videos, which was the one, what video would you consider to be like the one where you really started learning more about, or you just kind of started growing so much? What would you say was the video that kind of, I guess, got your name out there in a way and really started making you learn more about, oh, so this is how YouTube is, or how I am as a person, the industry, and you just kind of felt like, you know what? I can definitely do something with this channel. Yeah.
You know what? It's hard to say. I don't know if I have an exact video, but I definitely think some of my vlogs from about like let's say a year ago, specifically, I felt a switch. To be honest, Robert, it's been a slow grow with subscribers. It's not like I wake up and I have 25 and then I don't have anything for a month and I have another 50. It's always like 2 to 3 subscribers a day is what I've been seeing, kind of how it goes. I
Yeah.
think for me, it was one of my videos when I started this title, The Life of an Unemployed Actor. And I started this title when the strike happened and we got affected by it in Toronto. And I made it as a joke because I'm like, well, the reality is all of us as actors were unemployed because of the strike. And something about, I think that really kind of like the title grabbed on. And I noticed that vlog did quite well. And then a lot of people commented things. And then from there, it kind of just started to keep going. But even if I want to go even before that, was probably like maybe 7 months prior to that, I had a video where I just sat on my bed and I cried. And I was just very honest about how stuck I was feeling in the industry and how I was like, I don't know where to go from here. And I'm very frustrated and I feel like I want to quit. And that video actually brought a lot of views and a lot of people commented being like, thank you for being honest. Like, I actually feel very similar to the way you're feeling as well. Like, I hear you. Yes, I feel like this is what I feel as well. The vlogs bring a lot of community to people and feeling like, oh, like I feel the same way. Like this is really interesting for me to see as well. And then there's another video I did a few months ago. It was called the hard truth of being an actor. And that one did really well. And that one was where I've had some interesting comments and not so interesting comments.
Yeah. I think that was the one that I kind of, it was recommended to me in the algorithm. Tube is pretty weird like that.
Yeah, see, but that's what I'm saying. Like some of them gets recommended by algorithm and some doesn't. But I think that
Yeah.
one, yeah, that one got recommended. I think it's like a 3,000 views. And that one is, yeah, like I said, I think that one was truly like I'm speaking from my own personal experience, and like I said in the video, everyone's gonna have a different experience. Robert, you could have a very different experience than from me. And so
Yeah.
could the person next to me. And funny enough, like my fiance, he's an actor as well. And we both are in the industry together at the same time, and he has a very different journey from what I have. He has it on another level, and can I sit here and say his is wrong and mine is right, or mine is wrong and his is right? No, not at all. We're completely two different people. We're not even the same gender, so I can't even compare what my journey is like to his, because it's uncomparable. You can't you know
Talk a little bit about your coaching and testimony. Oh, wait. The testimonials are from the coaching. So, yeah, share a little bit about the coaching.
So the coaching is something I honestly actually was never kind of interested in doing. It kind of came from my channel where I actually had a subscriber. They were graduating high school and they wanted to get into the acting and they didn't know where to go. Like they were like, do I do it this way or do I do it that way? And they reached out to me on my Instagram and they said, hey, could I like pay you for a session? And we like you can help me kind of guide me where I want to go. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sure. Like, I mean, I want to give out advice and I do it on my YouTube, but if someone wants personal advice where I look at their package and all this kind of stuff, I'm happy to do it. So it kind of actually started from there. And then about a month or two later, I had someone else reach out to me through like DM, or they emailed me and they said, hey, feeling a little bit stuck. Like I feel like something's going on with my package. I feel that my headshots are not it or whatever. And we scheduled a session. And then a little bit after that, a third person reached out. And it's interesting. I get a lot of either newer people in the industry, or I get people who are new to Canada. So they come from a different country and they want to be an actor, but it's very different how they do it here compared to, let's say, Europe. And even like headshots that are done in Europe are done one way, but we do headshots differently here. So the coaching kind of came from there, where when I started getting people like reaching out to me, quite a lot, being like, can I have a session? Can you look at my package? Can you consult me? Or can you help me with an audition? That's when I started feeling like, oh, okay, this is something I can actually offer to people because they're asking me for it. And so when I was building my website, I debated whether I wanted to put it in there or not. And I thought, yeah, you know what, why not? Like, yeah, I'm like, I'm happy to offer help. I mean, I'm not helping seasoned actors of 30 plus years because I haven't been in the industry myself for 30 plus years. I'm helping people who are either beginners completely in this industry or who are new to Canada and don't know where to start or where to even go from here because it is not easy to get started. So that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of where it is now.
And it's all listed on your website and everything else. Eh,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. I'll definitely be able to list the website and all the social media links. You could just share your social links just real quickly. Where can people just check out your stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really available everywhere. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you just search my name, Anastasia Pioro, you'll be able to find me on YouTube. Instagram, it's Anastasia underscore Pioro. And I believe TikTok is the same thing, or just Anastasia Pioro. It's one of those. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm kind of all around the social media, just except Twitter, which is not even called Twitter anymore, whatever it's called, X or
exactly. Yeah.
whatever. I'm not on there, but I'm everywhere else.
Any last thoughts or last words? Want to close?
No, I think if anyone who's ever listening to this and I think, first of all, if you're wanting to get started in this industry, I think you should do it. I think you should never hold back on your dream. But anyone who is struggling, I just want you to know that you're not alone. There's a million other actors in this industry that are also trying to make it, and you are not alone in this, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be a struggle, but you're going to make it through. Just believe in yourself. That's the number one thing is you have to believe that you can do this. So, yeah.
Yep. Definitely everything you said. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And until next time at Station Square, this is Robert, and thanks for tuning in today. And I'll catch you next time. Bye bye, and good luck out there.